All right, buddy. Well, we're back. So,
Yeah,
with
boys and
that,
girls, we're screwed. We're screwed either way, boys and girls. They're getting us one way or
yeah,
another. They're coming. The boogeyman's under the bed. Okay.
yeah, they're there, man. And that's the thing that really like that is. And the first time she brought it to my attention, and since then, this has haunted my thoughts. Is I just keep thinking about how, I'm more and more aware now on a daily basis of how the government involves itself with us and how we involve ourselves with the government. And it's becoming more, there's a light being shined on the areas that I was completely ignorant to, not stupid to, but ignorant. I was innocent in my knowledge of it. Now I'm becoming more aware of it. Shannon just brought something fantastic to our attention. I've always thought if you took out the loan, you're responsible for it. That is a relationship between you, the college, and the government if the government's involved in it, or however the loans are occurring, whoever the financial institute is that has the loan. And that's it. I was like, okay, cool. Now I realize it doesn't matter. We're paying because these businesses built around it have gotten money from the government, and the government has no money. And that's a thing that also I wasn't even really that aware of. It's like I didn't think of it that way. It's not that I didn't. It's not I thought about it and I'm like, oh no, it's not true. No, the government has no money. The only money the government has is what we pay them, what we give them. That's all they have. They have our labor as their product internationally, and then it's the money we pay in taxes. No, but anyway, all right. So to move on, because it is one of those fantastic conversations that can continue to hold our attention right now. But I know my Kraken has done a lot of work this week to pull up a lot of information. Oh, by the way, I don't know if we're gonna let that stick. Who knows? Maybe it might stick because I do look at you that way. Like I just don't have the time on my side for everything that I do for the show to do the research, and I am so incredibly grateful that you do because that is I lean on you heavy because the other stuff that I'm doing is hard to see for the witnesses, the viewers. No, but with you, you shine like a freaking star on this stuff because as soon as you get into it, you're like, there it is, that's it, and then we can go deeper. So I love it. I'm opinionated. You're driven by the research and facts. So I'll stop all this crazy. You know
I
what?
apologize to nobody.
That's how I feel, Bernie. One more
I
time, baby.
apologize to nobody.
That's right, and everybody's face.
I love Bernie. Yeah, I like the Kraken. That's actually not a bad nickname. I might keep that. The Kraken.
Yeah. Joshua the Kraken McClendon.
You're right. It all plays into transparency, right? We are at this, like we talked about with our previous guest. We can see through government entities now more so than we ever could before, and it's playing into a lot of avenues, a lot of issues that we're having as a society. Number one right now for me, it's hard to pick a number one issue, but it's just the level of double standards that we are allowing to take place, and with little to no reason to to almost to say that one side is right and then the other side is completely wrong, even if the right side does the same thing. Like for example, the Governor Como situation is really kind of starting to get on my nerves for a lot of reasons. Let's start off with the fact that going into this whole shindig that he finds himself in, he had an 86% approval rating. Okay, so going back to, a lot of people like to talk about President Trump as a racist or as a dictator is the one that really has been grinding my gears about how we are allowing this double standard to label one person as something and another person as something else, even though that person is doing something actually way worse. Like, Governor Como, he knowingly, right, maybe not he himself, but his administration knowingly caused the deaths of tens of thousands of people from moving COVID positive patients into these nursing homes in New York. That sounds pretty dictatorish to me. I mean, you're knowingly allowing people to die, and at the same time, you're also in the middle of this sex scandal that's going on, which is it's not an idea. It's pretty well known that this is the case, and then that there's active lawsuits going on against him, and he's even admitted to some of them. So it's not like this is a conspiracy theory, which is what I hear a lot about when people maybe see one thing as a negative, but they don't see the other thing as a negative when it relates to whatever side they pick. So, I mean, if we're going to label someone like Trump a dictator, when he did nowhere near the kind of acts that Governor Cuomo did. And it's preposterous. I mean, we have to start holding everyone accountable for the things they do, and not just the people at a certain side of the spectrum. I mean, he himself said, "I will not resign." That's a dictator. I mean, you think Saddam Hussein wanted to leave? Like he said, "I'm not going to leave," even with all this evidence built up against him about corruption to the point of thousands of people dying. It's insanity.
You know, for me, this is what I think of whenever Cuomo gave the order or supported the direction. Which we're not, and we don't know necessarily exactly how that conversation took place. But what I will say is this is probably how it all went down for Nana.
This is pain compliance, okay? It's not meant to be comfortable.
Yep, that's right. It's pain compliance, Nana. It's not meant to be comfortable. By the way, if anybody remembers that video with the young man that was, I guess he was COVID positive, that was beating the living shit out of the old man in the nursing home, and people thought that was an orderly and all of that. That was in New York, where the guy was like went in and he just started like reaming. Like the guy filmed himself beating up an old white man, and he was doing it solely because of his view on race. That was insane to me. And if that had actually been the other way, right? Like think about all these hoaxes that went on with the woman that was a politician that was out in Oregon, I believe, where she had said that she got kidnapped and the guy was beating on her and all of this stuff, like in the car, and she was filming it, she's crying and all of that. And later on, it turns out it was a Smollett moment. Now, she'd staged it herself. We had all this crap going on, and yet we're going to let a specific group off because they're on the side that actually is in power overall, that has the dominance in our political atmosphere. We're going to let them off. You're like, oh, no, it's okay. You know, that story died. Was she held accountable? I don't know. It disappeared. The story disappeared. The woman that like staged her own kidnapping. Then we got Como. Now we're going to focus more on the sexual allegations than we are about the fact that he directly was involved with those individuals going to those nursing homes. If you put him at the top of it, he knows it's happening. He's responsible. That's the way that it works in the power hierarchy. Sends these people off to frickin' see Nana for this.
This is pain compliance, okay? It's not meant to be comfortable.
That's right, Nana. You just take it. And then covering up the deaths to make sure that it didn't make him look that bad so Trump wouldn't have him investigated. But then he gets one of these bad boys. You take that Emmy, Cuomo. Why? Because Hollywood sucks. Hollywood has a horrible mind virus. They suck. Though they support it, the individual sitting at home, you get the information through your tube. The most of the time it's through the television. You may get it through your internet sources and whatever else your media values are, but you still get that information in, and then you're just sitting over there with one of those little badass moments where you're like this. Come on in, baby. Come on. Wait, here they come. You hear them, Joshua? Yeah. Here they are. Come on in. Billy. Billy, move over. You get 2 more blue check marks I need in here.
Yeah, and this stuff isn't speculation. This is his administration admitted and said that it put them in an uncomfortable political position. They said that in an email, in an official statement about the circumstances regarding the nursing homes and improper PDE equipment, anything to do with COVID. They completely knowingly just completely ignored all the CDC guidelines and allowed positive patients to come into these nursing homes. And it's starting to really be a problem. I mean, it's constantly adding up. Every state now is, especially more democratic states, and with this whole new COVID bill we got going on, they're almost being rewarded for their actions because a lot of that money is going to those states to help bail them out of the economic turmoil they found themselves in through the shutdown, which no one really talks about. But Florida was shut down for a very, very brief amount of time and actually had way less deaths, way less COVID positive cases than some of the more democratic states that were shut down. And so They're not going to be, well, they're being investigated, and hopefully Como will be removed from office, as I think he should. And I think that any resident of New York should feel the same way. I mean, if he covered up deaths, what else do you think he covered up that maybe is not as important, but it might be getting you on the bottom line? Also, we're then rewarding these states by giving them more funding that they don't necessarily deserve based on the decisions they made. And if we're going to give them funding and we're allowing them to cover up more, then what else are they covering up? What else are they going to use that money to help, bleed out, so to speak, or white out some of the mistakes they made and just kind of bump back up to normal, and hopefully everyone will forget about it.
Yeah. It reminds me of, like, especially when it comes to the financial money or the federal money, it reminds me of the riots that went throughout the country where these cities were getting burnt to the ground. Blocks of these cities, let's not be overly hyperbolic here. Blocks of these cities being burnt to the ground. And then Trump, at the time, President Trump, was trying to offer, I will send troops, or I will send people, I will send resources to help you get this under control if you don't have the resources to do it. And what did the frickin' mayor of, and I believe even the governor of Oregon, or Oregon, it's like, oh no, it's the summer of love. No, that's all it is. As they completely banished cops from the CHOP, right? From the Chaz first turned into the CHOP. We got people over there that are, it was put up border walls immediately, right? Border walls are bad, but then we're going to frickin' isolate shit. It's all because it was on the left. It was the left position. Lefts, and overall, there was a dominance in value as far as the media goes, as far as the political campaigns and the political systems go. There's so many of those individuals that just said, you know what, let's let it go. And right now, Cuomo has the spotlight on him, and the news is reporting on it, which tells me that he's likely being put on the altar. He is a sacrificial portion to the altar. They want something. We need to show that we're not too biased. Let's give them a little something. All right. So Cuomo's over there shaking with his nipple rings, just going, I don't know if I'm going to be taken out or not. Right. And then we got like the left media, and then the left politicians are all like, okay, well, if we have to trim off one in our herd, that'll give the American people their peace. That'll give them what they want. Now, this is insane to me that people are just so brainwashed. They're plugged in to something that is just downloading bullshit. Now,
He's the same guy. I remember he went on, I think it was CNN or some interview, and he was talking about how to beat COVID, and he was like, "Oh, all you got to do is, stretch your chest a little bit this way and just get some fresh air." I'm not kidding. Like, he said, the way to beat COVID was just stretch your chest. It's all over the dice are scattered, I guess you could say, as far as, okay, well, we're in New York, so we want to make sure that we're doing the lockdown necessary because that's what stopped the spread. But also you can stretch your chest out a little bit, and that'll help defeat COVID. And at the same time, we're going to take COVID patients and put them in nursing homes because that's the smart thing to do, which is obviously is not. And no repercussions. And I like how you're saying that he could be very much so a sacrificial lamb, because he's already starting to sour. The people who are holding on that were supportive of Como's pretty soon will probably start to drop off once the allegations and the investigations continue to further. So they are saying, okay, well, if we can put one guy on blast, and then maybe the American public will forget about this and move on to something else about how the orange man caused it. And I think that leads into something else too, that we're running out of things to blame stuff on. I mean, you can only blame, a past president for so much. And the stuff that, he was blamed for is quite ridiculous. I mean, I said a story not too long ago about, just animal, mutate or, disfigurement or just animal cruelty in general. I've heard someone say, oh, that's Trump's fault. Like, we got to stop, blaming someone who was in the past for actions that are occurring right now, especially take more of a stand as an individual and make sure that we do our research. Again, is the whole point of the show, is not really to not vote Democrat, but if you do vote for a Democrat, let's make sure we that Democrat actually wants our own ideas to spread throughout our state, our community, or whatever public office you're voting for. And It's down from the top. You know, it trickles. It's a trickle down effect.
You know what I'd like to ask every single person that, because I'm starting to get like politicians or people wanting to run for certain positions or certain elected positions. I'm actually getting requests to follow and support them. I don't know if you've been getting that too, but I have been getting more and more of that. And I always say I don't give a damn what side of the political party you're on, which one you're on. I'm still NPA, more conservative leaning right now because that's what's necessary for balance because the left's got the scales way out tilted. And no matter who it is, my question is, are you doing it for a civil or a civic duty or are you doing it for a career? And I'm not going to ask them directly. I am using that as my framework to look at what they say and what they do. Because I don't give a damn about your resume. I care about your character. And if your character will not facilitate what I want in a civic duty position, an elected official, I am not going to support you. I don't care if you're red. I don't care if you're independent. I don't care if you're a libertarian. I don't care. I'm not going to support you, nor am I going to encourage any of our viewers to do it either. If anything comes out of this show, I hope that it is more of people looking for others by their character, not by what they say. Use what they say to what they do to understand what the hell is there. So, back to Cuomo, damn good chance that he's a sacrificial lamb. But the entire time, I didn't like Cuomo from the moment that I watched what he had to say on the news and then what he was doing. I looked at what was happening to New York as a state, and I looked at what was happening in New York as a city. And I started really paying attention to that. I also looked for what politicians are elected there and what are their behaviors. We got AOS in there. No, I can't tell you how many people are following and trying to champion that woman. By the way, if you're not familiar with what I mean by AOS, it's AOC. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I just call her Alexandria Ocasio-Smollett. Oh, because she's just a photo op, just, no, I'm not going to go there right now because Joshua's going to want to talk at some point in time, and I will get that soapbox out. So, with that, back off a little bit. I will say, character versus resume. I don't care what you say you're gonna do and take that solely. I'm gonna look at what you're doing, and you're not gonna get away with it for long with me. So with that, Cuomo, he deserves to be held accountable for what he's done. But the same thing goes for Lori Lightfoot over in Chicago. Now, this woman blames the states around her for the gun control issues and the murder rate. Oh, we need more gun control, more gun control. And she's blaming all these other people, but not on her policies. And then as soon as the protesters showed up at her place, she locked down the frickin' neighborhood. Police were all over the damn place. But she was chastising and bastardizing the police up until that point. It's a maturity issue that's caused the character behaviors to get to that point that was led by the language that gave the permission and forgiveness for people to start acting out and acting badly in this generation upon generation of bad behavior. And this goes for everything. It's not a specific race. I'm so freaking tired of this race shit. So then you go over to Washington State. What was going on there? The Summer of Love. Oh, was that? No, it was Portland, Oregon. Sorry.
It was going on in Seattle too. And yeah, it's the race thing. It's almost like it came out of nowhere. Like the fact that especially the media, will play on certain heartstrings to kind of get what they want. It really baffles me. It actually makes me kind of upset. I mean, we were at a bowling alley last night, and I noticed there was a sign. I almost took a picture of it if I should have, but it was just a sign. It was a paper cutout. And it said, "We accept all races, all religions, all genders, and just continue to name things that they accept." And I thought, did you really feel the need that, in 2020 or 2021 now to post a sign like that? Like, were you admitting that there was segregation in some way beforehand that isn't now?
Up until that point.
Yeah.
Up until last week when we put the tape on the backside of this sign before we hung it up, we didn't accept any of those people. But now, y'all come on in. You're good here. We'll get you a glass of sweet tea. Yeah, you go ahead and sit down, have yourself a good time, get some bowling shoes.
Yeah, it's almost like you're admitting that you weren't beforehand. And I don't understand it. Like, people are free. Like, we have constitutional law preventing that. There are laws in place so everyone is accepted, and it's
Yeah.
not. Some places are not, and some people are. And I think that the media is trying to paint this picture that that's the case. I mean, some of the stuff I hear people say, it baffles me. Like, I heard a conversation. I like to listen to conversations. I'm sorry, but that's just me. So I heard a conversation about two younger people, maybe in their teens, and they said, "Oh, well, if you're a Republican, that means you're a racist, and if you're a Democrat, that means you're not." I was like, "What? What? Racists are racist. It doesn't matter what political party you are. You're an ignorant idiot if you think that you are better than someone else based on race, religion, sex, whatever. You're just an idiot. You're ignorant. Like, they have nothing to do with political parties. Do those people vote a certain way? Absolutely, because they're people. But to identify a racist as a conservative, it's a little over. It's a little, you're stepping over your boundaries, because there's a lot of people and a lot of parties who have had racial connections, or be friends with known racists in high places, and they weren't all Republican. So let's get that out of the way. Racists are racist, okay? They're ignorant, dumb people. They are not political ideologies, and they hold no place in our society whatsoever. I think any rational, logical person understands that and believes that within 100%. And if there is a case where racism arises and that something needs to be done about it, the country will rally around it. And we don't need the media pulling heartstrings and manipulating certain ideas into painting this picture of that everyone that is white is racist. It just needs to stop, because there's a lot of good people out there, and there's a lot of people who are not racist, and there's a lot of people who are white and don't think that way whatsoever and have never thought that way. So that stereotype needs to go away.
Yeah. I'm going to add something to that. First off, there is a movement, and it is going to the House. And what I mean by the House, I mean the government position. It's going to the House, Congress. They want to lower voting age from 18 to 16. You overheard this amongst some kids that believe that if you're a Republican or a conservative, you're a racist. And if you're a Democrat, you're not. If that does not say something about creating a voting bloc that is going to support and gridlock elections moving forward, you're lying to yourself if you don't think that's possible. And psychology, right? And then just in neuroscience and the total of developing the human brain, the prefrontal cortex can go up to the age of 24 before it's actually fully formed. Prefrontal cortex is the distinctive portion of the brain that gives you rational decision making. Now, 16-year-olds don't have that well developed yet. These people will vote however they're directed to vote with little information. They're going to emotionally react. We just had a senator in Georgia elected that is an outright racist. And I'm saying racist based off of skin color, off of the racial background, not this bullshit secondary definition that was put in the 70s that has to do with majority values, whoever holds the power based on majority, blah, blah, blah. That is a bullshit definition that is watered down the true definition of racism, which is the definition where someone feels they have a superiority over another person based off of a racial background value. That's racism. The other one has to do with some imperialism issues, as far as majority values and being in power. That's a whole other thing. It's another subject that deserves to be called by another subject, not under the guise of racism. So you have these teenage kids sitting there, they're trying to have a rational conversation about their understandings and beliefs in different political parties. What is that going to do for the future? You have people that are also coming over predominantly from South America that are known under the illegal immigration guys, that they're more likely to have left-leaning beliefs, because a lot of those are also coming here because of left-leaning statements or left statements, which is, come here, it's promised land, you'll be taken care of, come on over. So But you do have the people that are, on average, the ones that take the legal route, get through the vetting process. They're actually more likely to be conservative. Now, statistically, we'd have to come up with that information. Remember, on the commentary portion of this, Joshua is going to be my kraken of investigation. Now, with that being said, we have issues going on. DC becomes a state. They want to push that. What happens when DC becomes a state? DC is definitely left-leaning. That means they're going to have more likely the people that get elected in are going to be left individuals, which means that there's going to be up to 2 more seats, I believe is the number, if DC goes from being what it is right now to becoming a state, then we're more likely to have 2 more representatives that will hold values in voting when it comes to the Senate seats as well as the congressional seats, where they're going to sit, which means that the majority rules in those scenarios. Oh, they want to make Puerto Rico a state. Puerto Rico predominantly also leans left. Not as an exclusive, but predominantly. The people that I know that are Puerto Rican predominantly are left-sided people. Not all of them. It's not exclusive. But overall, that's what Puerto Rico would be. They want to turn that into a state as well, which means it gives it its voting rights. So with that, if it's not stacking the deck, when will people wake up to start looking at it going, why would they want to have so much opportunity for control? Why? That is not fairness. This is stacking the deck, people. So, with that, back over to you, Joshua. I couldn't help it, man. I got real comfortable on top of that soapbox.
Yeah, and you brought up a topic, especially when we were talking about race and the racism issues and the misconstruction, I guess you could say. Racism exists, right? It exists based on individuals. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but it is circulating the news. And I think it's kind of relevant to what we were saying. So I saw that there is a Tampa police officer who was fired from his job. He was a school resource officer. So he was assigned to a middle school that he was working. And this is on body camera. And I think it was on body camera multiple times, not just one. Again, African-American officer was in the process of arresting another African-American that was going to the school. That was a middle school student. Again, we're thinking, 11 to 14. So very, very young, very in a developmental stage, very prone to taking in words around them and kind of allowing that to be their center stage for their life. And he was fired from his job because during this arrest, he called the student the N-word. And this is an African-American officer who called a student an N-word, a 12-year-old, right? A minor. And so he was let go from his job. Now the student union for Florida is trying to get his job back on basis of that the N-word is it's a part of African-American culture. And if the goal is to fight racism, okay, if that's really the goal, and that seems to be the goal, or I hope is the goal, then we cannot allow certain words to hold strong and hold certain magnitude when one race says it over another, right? If we're trying to end racism, then no one should be calling anyone those words, because through time, it'll draw out and eventually that word will lose its meaning, it'll lose its gravitude, and then we can kind of move past some of the boundaries that we had in the past. So I don't really have a position on it. I feel that, if anyone were to refer to someone in a derogatory way in any workplace, that they would be let go. What if he called them, the F word? What if he called them, he used a derogatory meaning? Let's say it was a white officer and a black African-American student. He would most definitely lose his job, and it would be no union trying to get it back. So we have to start leveling out and deciding what's right and what's wrong, and hold it accountable to everybody. So and the fact that it was a student and the fact that it was a kid, I think made it even worse, because how do you think that student feels? And by the way, this school is 51% African-American according to their study. So it's a predominantly African-American school. And if he did this on multiple occasions, what kind of impact is that going to have on those kids' psyches? I mean, it's going to normalize that behavior, and that's going to transition into the rest of their life.
Absolutely. Well, it also sets, if something does come up where there's a specific spotlight put on an individual, Oh, what does that do to start molding their perspectives on life? If you give a specific privilege or a trump card to somebody over time, what's the likelihood that they start surrounding their concepts about the way that they're valued in life off of that thing? We had it with the Cash Me Outside girl, right? Where like she was this horribly behaved teenager, very disorderly and all of that. And as soon as she went on Dr. Phil, she got national recognition and started making money off of bad behavior or disruptive behavior in like in her parent relationships and school relationships. So now we have this with these individuals that get to the point where they're part of the media cycle. You know, the Gorilla Glue girl, right? She did something stupid to herself, and I'm going to say it's stupid. She put something in her hair that obviously, if you read the disclaimer on it, if you've ever used the product before, you know not to do something like that. It is not going to be something that's easy to get out or damn near impossible to get out. And then the media cycle gets a hold of it. She gets a GoFundMe, help her with her getting the stuff taken out of her hair. And then all of a sudden now she's got an agent helping her. So she donates money to, you know, people in need, all of that. But it's capitalizing on that media cycle. What is that type of outline going to do for people that are interacting with peoples like this? They, you know, some of these people will start, and when I say these people that are future victims will start looking for opportunities to become victims. And if we create the victim mindset in a person, they're going to look for those opportunities. People do it in relationships all the time. Think about intimate relationships where people like, you know, partners and boyfriend, girlfriend type setups or whatever, where somebody is a covert narcissist. Covert narcissist is almost always a perpetual victim. Somebody's doing something wrong, something's happened to them, they send it out into the world to draw other people in so they can be rescued, they get attention, that kind of thing. There are overt and covert narcissists. They're out there. What are we doing as far as setting precedents? So I want to bring something up here that this scenario was a black officer, black student. And even with that, I really hope to see that one day we get away from this. We get away from using identities like that. You know, to say African American puts a specific identity value into a group of people. To say Black American has a very specific identity value into people versus American. But the people that want to perpetuate identity politics do not ever, and they'll attack me for saying that, saying that just call people Americans. Like, well, now you're minimizing things. So here's where I'm at with this. It was recent. I don't know if it was this week. It hit the news cycle late last week into this week when I was aware of it. There's an individual. This is called the Barner Hess's 8 White Identities. Now, this is how, you know, we can say, well, you've got black conservatives, you have African American conservatives, whatever. You'll have these people that are conservative and they're branded as racists. And we look back at it and go, how the hell is that person racist? They are of a different ethnic background, but yet they're being called white supremacists. So here's how this is going to work out. This is the answer to the lunacy, that the outright ridiculousness of the statement that person be a white supremacist, even though they're not white. So here's how it works. There's 1 is a white supremacist. 2 is white voyeurism. 3, white privilege. 4, white benefit. 5, white confessional. 6, white critical. 7, white traitor. And 8, white abolitionist. So each one of these will have categorization values that would take somebody that, let's say, again, that officer, use the N-word. It's a cultural word to people that live in specific demographics, right? They use it all the time. There was actually, side note on this, there was a young girl that applied to a college, and it was a higher end college. It was not a community. And there was a boy that liked her. There was some dispute or something that happened in their high school years. She recorded herself singing a popular song that dropped that word, the N-word, in the song. The kid kept the recording. When he found out what college she went to, he sent it to the college and said, "You're accepting racists into your college." Sent them the video and said, "That's her. She's a racist." And they were talking about like disbanding her or banning her from being able to join that university. I don't know. I haven't followed up on that to find out exactly what happened with that story. But this is what happens. These kids are actually starting to cannibalize each other because of these ideas of righteousness. So
No,
Inside of those 8 areas of white identity is the individuals that would fall outside of that ethnic background. They're not Caucasian. They would be of some other identity. And this is what they're going to use against people in the future. When I say them or their, I'm referring to predominantly left-leaners, people on that side. Last disclaimer on this one for this episode anyway, I'm NPA, non-party affiliate. I'm not a conservative in the sense of being registered Republican. I'm sitting in the middle going, the left's lost their damn mind. So, all right, Joshua, what's your thoughts on all that?
now was this was a white student that got in trouble at school, right?
The one that was tried to go to university?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a white girl. It was a Caucasian girl.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's, and I'm pro free speech, so I'm not saying that people can't say what they want to say, no matter how bad it is. I feel that people, with the First Amendment, we have the right to speak our mind as long as it doesn't cause harm or try to cause harm to a certain individual. But in the workplace, right, in a professional setting, I feel like all derogatory terms, all words that are found to be not professional, if you say them, especially in a recording, then you should be punished for it, no matter the race. If we have to, if the goal is to beat racism, then we have to say, no matter who you are, this word is unacceptable across society, not just for a certain group, not just for that group. A complete and utter dismantlement, just completely giving this word no grounds to be acceptable whatsoever. If we get to that point, you'll see some changes. You will, because then I love what you said about the American thing, because I've said that for so long. People, it's a nation thing for us. We, for whatever reason, oh, so where are you from? They want to hear, oh, so what's your nationality? And that's cool to know where you originally came from. It's, because we're all immigrants. It's fun to know where our ancestors came from, where they came here. But at the same time, when are we going to start being Americans? Because I don't see someone as Asian American, African American, Latino American. I see you as America. So when they ask me, where are you from? I'm from Georgia. That's where I was born. I'm a Georginian, and now I'm a Floridian, and because I'm from America, and this is my country. These are my people around me. Don't care what color you are. Don't care where you came from. If you're an American, you're one of me. And by labeling people, like Chad said, that kind of puts us into these little interest groups. And so the sooner we can get away from identifying in any way, whether it be political, whether it be, racial, it's important to hold our roots to where we came from. But eventually we're going to have to come together and create this overall mutual understanding of what our goal is as a country. And, there's always going to be idiots out there. Like we said, there's always going to be ignorant people out there that don't accept that and don't want to be a part of that. And you know what? They're not a majority anyway. They don't matter. There's always going to be the few always ruin it for the many. So let's get those people out, right? No matter where you are, right? Let's get them out and let's start building together more and being on the same page and holding everyone accountable.
I think that's you also saying that, like, being an advocate for free speech, if we are going to create any specific, like, banning or specific words that are not allowed to be said by specific groups of individuals, then that is a universal ban. It is not a special privilege ban. I don't care. It really across the board. Personally, I don't give a damn what you say as an individual. I do care about your character. And it doesn't matter if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. And I don't happen to put myself around a lot of assholes. Now, if somebody's abrasive and they just tell you how it is with hard facts, I don't consider that person an asshole. I may say that they're tactless, but I don't consider them an asshole. An asshole is somebody who's intentionally trying to harm another person for whatever reason they have. Now, if they're intentionally trying to harm somebody because there's a lesson to be taught, as I did publish this on Facebook recently, which is, at what point in time did hard love become hate? Or tough love become hate? Tough love is not hate, although some people have been taught to believe that it is. That is not somebody I consider an asshole as giving you tough love. That person's actually loving you more than this Oedipus mother approach, which that's something, if you're not familiar with it, look deep into Freud's education on the Oedipus mother. Not the superficial concept of, oh, well, then that just means the child wants to sleep with the mother or replace the father concept. That's not it. It's actually deeper than that. And that's part of the problem we have right now. We have an epidemic of the Oedipus mother complex in our society. Oh, all right. Joshua, we're going to have to hit a couple more subjects before we finish up, but we're actually coming up. We actually passed the 2 hour mark, which is awesome because it really doesn't seem like it. This has
No,
been a fantastic
no.
episode. But I do want to touch on a couple more things. But what else do we have on the itinerary from your side? Because I want to get to the Texas and the federal attempt to assassinate Texas. This is my commentary on what I've seen. Give it time. We'll do more research in it, but I do want to offer my opinion on what I'm seeing over in Texas. So, but what else do we have for you, Joshua?
I want to talk maybe about the bombing in Syria,
Okay,
and
good.
I think this is pretty normal. And what I mean by that is normally in our history, whenever there's been a administration change in the presidency, you've seen some kind of act to show that America, we're still America, we're still here, we're still the big dog on campus, and they were targeting these certain individuals that were an Iranian militant group that caused harm. I actually think death to some U.S. citizens that were in Syria at the time. So the Biden administration decided to destroy that threat. Almost like a preemptive, strike, which is not constitutional, by the way, or it's not unconstitutional, but really he really needed more congressional approval to do what he did. But that's very normal because we've seen a lot of incidences in our history, such as the Gulf Wars, the Vietnam. Eventually, they did end up declaring war. But we've had a lot of incidents where these preemptive strikes have happened without congressional approval. So that really didn't bother me, so to speak, so much because that's pretty normal. But they're just trying to make a statement. They're trying to make a statement that says that the Biden administration is legit. I feel like there's been a lot of the microscope has been on the United States since the regime or the administration changes happened. We've kind of been, as we refer to, the regime. Oh, Biden is back. Oh, Biden, not Biden. Oh, Biden.
Yeah, it's Obama's third term.
Yeah, Obama's third term. And we are trying to show that even though, based on the news and based on the media coverage of this country for the past year, that it's been a complete clown show and that we've kind of been the laughing stock of the world, that we're still the big man on campus. So I think that's really, he was trying to send a message to Iran saying, hey, listen, I know that we kind of tried to work out some deals, but maybe those deals you're not really taking to heart as far as their nuclear program goes. So this was a very statement, it sent a message to Iran. So I'm not sure if I agree with the additional military conflict. I think that was one of the nice things about the Trump administration. Not that he didn't drop bombs, not that there wasn't military action, but there was far less than what we've seen in previous presidencies, such as Obama, dropped a lot of bombs, such as George W. Bush. We've had plenty of presidents that jumped to action for war because war is a business, and that's how you make a lot of money as a country through war. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it did save American lives. So, and hopefully, it may have deterred Iran from taking further actions into their nuclear program and possibly going to war with the U.S. at a later date.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say myself on it, other than I'm curious to find out more. I do want to know one thing specific though, and I don't know if you came across this when you were looking up some of the conflict that took place prior to that. Did we send anyone over, like maybe first class? Did we like send a specific, like maybe an American ambassador over to discuss a few things in Syria that was to attack these individuals? Because I do have a speculation. Do you know of anybody in particular? Because I do have somebody in mind that I think that may went.
I don't know if we sent an actual ambassador up to that point. I know that there was American citizens that were harmed that were in Syria at the time. I think they were contractors. They weren't government officials. They were sent there by a private entity, and that was ultimately they were harmed by this militia group. So American lives were harmed, but I'm not sure before the strike because it was actually kind of a surprise. That's one of the good things about having the Air Force that we have is they can drop a bomb on you, son. That let's say I'm sitting in my living room right now and they wanted to put a bomb on my candle on my night table like that. I mean, it would be perfection. You would never even see it coming. So I don't think there was too much administrative talking before the drop.
I'm wondering when they're going to send over like the super soldier. Like we've been talking about, like we've been making this thing. China's been working on theirs. Over here, it seems like China's involvement has turned us into a bit more of the beta male approach. But I know we have one savior in our country that they could have sent over, and it's definitely not Arnold Schwarzenegger. But this is the person that I think it might have been, or they might have actually sent him in. And it wasn't even a bomb that went off. It was just the fact that this guy went.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah, I think it was.
Corn Pop.
I think that's who it was, man. They sent him over. He's like the T-1000. Just blew up a bunch of shit. Just by being.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I think that was it, man.
He's not here. He had to miss today. He never said why he couldn't make today's episode, so we're having to pick up Corn Pop's slack. So he's not here. So it very could have well been Corn Pop could have been sent over there to do some discussing.
I got one voicemail, by the way. I did get a voicemail from him, and I'm going to play that for us. It's real short. But that's Corn Pop's nature. He is not one to do a whole lot of talking. He does a whole lot of action. But do you know when this strike occurred? Because it might line up with my voicemail. But I'll let you know when the voicemail took place. But do you recall like when?
I have to look up the exact dates. I know it was I believe it was last week.
Okay, because I did get a voicemail last week from Corn Pop, although he was here with us on last Friday's episode or Saturday's episode. But I did get a voicemail when he was out of town, and this is all that he said in the voicemail.
I apologize to nobody.
That's it. There was nothing else. It wasn't, hey, this is Corn Pop. That was it. And then gone. So, all right. Oh, there was one other thing that came up. And we do have an exclusive video, audio from Biden's administration talking to Syria.
No, what the hell? What do you say to me? I kill you.
I don't care.
I kill you. I kill you right now.
Kill me. I'm right here. Kill me.
Okay, I come with two chopsticks. I shut up your ass.
Two chopsticks. Come over here. Talk to me in the face.
Like I said, you fucking you better chip.
Oh, ridiculous. What's that?
We got everything falling apart. Just to segue a little bit less, heart touching. I never like seeing bombs, or I'm not really a pro-war guy whatsoever. But the stock market this past 2 weeks has been an absolute insanity. A lot of sell-offs. A lot of people are worried about inflation. The Federal Reserve had to send out their lead speaker to kind of talk down, so to speak, the worries of rises of inflation and the crash of the stock market. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. We do this purely for entertainment. I'm just telling you what I've done. And if you are an investor, which I think we've kind of picked up a couple of investor listeners just due to some economic talks that we do, now is a great time to start getting on some stocks that are much cheaper than they were beforehand. So if you missed the crash almost to a year now, right? We're almost at the kickoff of COVID in March. And even me, I was like, man, I wish I would have bought Zoom, or I wish I would have bought DocSign, all these companies that really took off after the pandemic. Now's a great time to start buying some stocks that are a very good discount. And I think it shows, in a sense, the public's and Wall Street's views on this current administration. They're very, very nervous. And you saw bond yields at an all-time high. So not all-time high, but definitely high for this year and this time. Because individual investors were worried about the market, so they figured they would make a smarter bet and invest in these bonds instead of investing in the American economy. And I'm going to quote the Oracle from Omaha, Warren Buffett himself, never bet against America. And so if you're in a spot where you got some extra cash and you want to start investing, because again, only like 41% of America is invested in the stock market. So half our population has no money to invest. Now is a great time to jump in and start getting some discount stocks so you can build that wealth over time.
Yeah. And again, also to reiterate, Joshua may not be an expert in this, and I'm far from it. I'm even further from it. So, and if I'm putting money in right now, it's not a bad idea to look at it, but if you got something, you can. But by no means are we giving you direction or advice on what to do, when to do it, any of that. I'm not licensed to. I don't even want it on my conscience. But if you can get in on it, you make the decision to do it, and it works out for you, awesome. That's all that I've got to say about that so far at the moment.
You are
So
sure buy the dip too. Again, not a financial advice. I bought the dip. When it goes down, keep buying it. It's going to come back up. America, our economy is one of the most, if not the best economy in the world, and we will rebound from this, and we will get over this inflation fear, and we will come through this economic turmoil that we're in. So yeah, invest in America. Just if you got the money, just do it. You won't be sorry, especially if you do your due diligence and you do the research and you pick companies you believe in. I think you'll make some substantial gains down the road.
yeah, it is time that we start buying more of our own pride.
Mhm.
So, all right, what's our next subject, big dog?
All right, what we got here. Last week we didn't get to talk about it because we had our, very awesome special guest. But because CPAC was the day, or concluded the day after we originally shot, so we really didn't get to discuss the CPAC convention too much. But I was able to catch the end of it. I was able to watch our ex-president speak, and there was a couple Easter eggs in there, and I kind of hinted this in my Facebook. This is speculation. This is just an opinion I have, maybe kind of a interesting idea, but you could very well see Trump in a political position before the 2024 election. And did you want me to kind of dive into a little bit, Chad? Break it down for him? Again, this is speculation. This isn't truth, but I see something brewing on the Republican side to kind of take a little bit more of a stand and to get our voice out there a little bit more than they would before. So here's what I think. During the speech, President Trump said, I could end up beating them 3 times. Okay. Now, here's what most people heard when they heard that. 3 times, obviously due to, the allegations of election corruption. He was referring to, he won in the 2016 election. He won in the 2020 election due to, the possible election fraud, and that he is then going to run again in 2024. Here's what I saw it. I saw it. He won in 2016, right? Now, what he could do is, and this is sneaky, and this is what made me want to say it. What he could do is he could run for a House representative seat in the state of Florida in 2022. Anything that Trump runs for in the state of Florida, he will not lose. He'll win it, okay? And what we could ultimately do, or what he could ultimately do, is win that seat in the House, and the House could flip Republican, which it got close to last midterm elections. That's kind of already in the foresight, which then the House would be dominant Republican, and they could name Trump the Speaker of the House, and he would take Nancy's job. I think that's what he was referring to, not so much election fraud. I think that was a little Easter egg to, if he can kind of muster up the self-control to not be president for a little bit, but still be in a very powerful political position and unseat a very big rival of his. That would be absolutely insane. I couldn't. I just, once the dots connected, I was like, oh my gosh, like, is he actually trying to do this?
Yeah, that absolutely. But he's also a showman, so I can see, and I don't mean a showman like he just likes to get up there. No, he has such a flair for just in getting attention, and to be able to do that would be one thing, obviously historically epic. Like, nothing about our history would ever come close to that, right? Like, not get elected a second term, take the House seat, and then the next term comes up, he goes back in at it.
Gets bit for you too, Chad. It gets even better. As the Speaker of the House, you have the power to impeach. So they could impeach Joe Biden technically, and then he would finish out their term and be able to run again in 2024 with no cost of 2 elections. It's sneaky. It's possible. If he does this, it's brilliant. Like, to the point where it just shows that not only Trump, but all politicians are 50 steps ahead of the public. They are so far past us and what they're going to do, that we are literally just in the moment trying to react to the information that we get. But they know how it's going to go down way down the road. Yeah,
they're definitely, and I mean, they say he plays 4D and 5D chess. I believe it, but I think a lot of them are. I'm not arrogant or ignorant enough to believe that these people that get elected are just complete idiots. The closest one in that entire category would absolutely be AOS. But other than that, I don't think that they're idiots. I think that some of them are useful idiots, but for the most part, I think that they're calculated and very well. They will have information that we won't even get close to touching months and months in advance, possibly years in advance. They have time to take and put together actions. They also have people that they advise with that will help them have a deeper understanding of things. So we've been watching Titans go at it, and then we're sitting back going, "I'm well informed." We're chasing tails, man.
Yeah. We're 3 days behind. Seriously, we're like that. We're like that internet connection when you get Sling TV and you're watching a game and your phone buzzes before they throw the touchdown. You're like, well, what the hell? What's the point of watching if I know beforehand? So they're 50 cents ahead of us. So we'll see what happens. 2020. If you think 2020 was bad, 2022 is going to take the cake. I mean, it is good. It's going to be a wild year for politics. And especially in the state of Florida. Imagine DeSantis running for governor, Trump running for a House representative seat. It's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I've got some stuff to discuss with you that I want to do well before any of that comes up, but I've got to get with you off of air. And we're going to discuss some stuff because we're absolutely, the show's getting involved. And we're going to get deeply involved across the board, but we'll kind of give you guys updates later. But I'm going to discuss this with Joshua off screen. So, all right. Anything else you want to discuss about that before we kind of finish up our subjects?
No, I think we got all the topics we need to.
Beautiful. All right, there is one that I want to put down, and people can put a timestamp. This is a video receipt on this. My name. Put it on there. Search Addy Brochures. This one is all right. Would you agree that Texas is not a state that fucks around?
Absolutely.
Right. Would you not agree, or would you also agree that Texas is not letting Biden just walk however he wants all over that state?
Absolutely.
All right. Would you also think that it's possible that within the right situation, individuals could try to set up a sabotage against somebody that they don't like?
Absolutely. We just learned how many steps ahead they are of us.
Yep. So would it be possible that they may try to do hit jobs in multiple different ways to try to get somebody out of their seat?
Absolutely.
All right. So Abbott is the governor of Texas. Texas is opening up. It's one of our biggest states. It's the second biggest state that we have, right? Alaska's the biggest, and then Texas.
No, Alaska's number one, actually. I think.
Yes, Alaska's number one, Texas, and then I think California, maybe.
Yeah, I think California would be the third.
Okay. Again, I don't teach this stuff. All right, I'm just speculating from what I understand there. So here's my position. We have an immigration crisis going on. We have a caravan of individuals on their way here. There's a lot of them that are already showing up. Kids in cages. We've now rebranded it. We got a new image. They're now kids in detention camp, or what is that? Kids in I forgot the name of the facilities now. Same damn thing.
Yeah, they just renamed.
Obama built them. Obama built them. Trump got blamed for them, and Biden just opened up and put some new wallpaper up. Changed the name. Under new management is what they got out there, right? So we've got these individuals coming to the border. There's a shit ton of them that are coming to the border. They have relaxed immigration policies right now. They do have a detention timeline. We have the exchange between Governor Ron DeSantis, the awesome governor of Florida, and the illegitimate president of the United States, in my opinion, of course, where they went back and forth and they were chastising Ron DeSantis Governor DeSantis over him not giving in to Fauci's beliefs on the way things are going. What is it up to now? It's like put 1 or 2 things of baloney on to stop the spread. What was it? You get vaccinated?
Yeah, just wear 10 masks. Even if you get vaccinated.
Well, I think he's going off to baloney now. I think they're using other things too. I think it's if you use Batacaf Care or what is that? Shabanamid under pressure. Those are magical incantations that actually help you get elected into wherever you want. I didn't know that, but I'm going to use it from now on. Like if I go skydiving next time, you're like Shabanamid under the pressure. And it, like, I'll just magically won't even need a parachute. I'll land fine. Anyway, so all this shit's going on, right? We had this exchange. The reason why the exchange got so heated is that Dr. Fauci, I'm sorry, damn, I keep doing that. Dr. Fauci, or pseudo Dr. Fauci, said, and I call him that because of his betrayal of his medical oath, the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. And his positions on how he flip-flopped on everything seemed for political reasons, not for actual medical reasons. But that's neither here nor there. Who am I, right? So we have this. They had that exchange. It was about Floridians traveling, and then there was going to be restrictions on their ability to travel. And now you've got immigrants coming to the border. They have a detention timeline. I believe it's 72 hours, and they get released under certain criteria. So like young individuals coming to the border. They had 20 that were released within a specific group, and I believe 4 of them tested positive for COVID, and they were just instructed to quarantine. These are non-American citizens. They were released into the country now, and they're saying they're making all of this grandstanding position that there's certain states opening up and all of this. So here's where the hit job piece that I think that is possible to happen. I'm not guaranteeing this. That's just connecting some dots. It's a high possibility of this, in my opinion. Texas is opening up. They've got rid of the mask mandate as of Wednesday this coming week. Mississippi followed suit. Alabama's supposed to follow suit. Florida was already there. We've got the mask mandate has been removed. Back to normal work, back to normal capacity. Get back to your life. That's Texas, right? That's what they just recently said as of Wednesday this coming week. Now, we have these individuals getting released. We're supposedly up in arms about, like, well, stop the spread, get your vaccine. Even if you get your vaccine, several shots that we don't even have time to vet it. Biden taking credit for the vaccine, by the way, which is just, he's a piece of shit. It didn't exist before my presidency. Then he said something about the transport syringe or something. I don't know. Who the hell knows anymore? He's not even allowed to talk anymore unless he's got permission, because that happened when the last time he spoke, and they shut it off once he asked for permission to be able to answer questions. I'm like, who the fuck is in control here? Right, there's a president of the United States asking, a legitimate president of the United States, asking for permission to take questions. When the hell have we had that? That's a Manchurian candidate type of situation. But again, this is my opinion. So, all right, these people in Texas being released into Texas to go quarantine. I guarantee you they're going to use that against Governor Abbott of Texas and say, your numbers have increased, although it is the federal government that is releasing people that are coming over the border into the state. It's not the state. It's the federal government doing it. And they're following orders because of the federal government. And they're going to use that, I guarantee you, because they're going to do this in Florida too. There's already, Nikki Fried has already come forward to start to say some shit about DeSantis, about his casting aside the citizens' well-being. I hope she gets ground into pulp in the competition when she tries to run for governor, because I think she's going to be the one they try to put up the run, because she fits the identity politics piece for it. And I almost guarantee she's going to be the one that they try to elect for it, or she'll be a major supporter for it, because she's already starting to speak out against Governor DeSantis. Oh, but point is, back to Texas, I think that's actually the point, that they're going to release people in that are tested positive. They're going to try to restrict citizens from traveling around their own country, that they pay taxes for the freedom to be able to do this. And then you got people coming over the border, be like, well, you're not a citizen, you don't pay taxes, but you know what? Just go quarantine, will you? You don't have a home here, but go quarantine. Just go do your thing. It's okay. Just abide by the CDC. Yeah, I guarantee it's going to be used against Texas. Guarantee it.
Let's connect the dots. Let's compare and contrast. So not too long ago, we talked on this show about how the government was not unhappy with people from New York, people from California, people from Michigan. I mean, we live in Florida. We see all kinds of license plates here. They were not upset that people outside of Florida were coming to Florida. They were upset that Floridians were traveling to other states. And here we are now, in Texas, where we are allowing a massive amount of illegal immigrants some tested positive, knowingly tested positive for COVID, and we've removed we've got back on, so to speak, the catch and release policy, to where if you are caught as an illegal immigrant, you are just then released back into the population, and you come back for your court date at a later date. And like Chad said, where are they going to quarantine at? So it's the double standard again. Is just the double standards drive me absolutely insane, that we are going to penalize Americans for interstate travel, but then not penalize illegal criminals. If you come into a country illegally, you are a criminal. It doesn't matter if you're from Canada. It doesn't matter if you're from Sweden. It doesn't matter if you're from Mexico. It's illegal. You are breaking the law. We have laws for that. So you're not an immigrant. You're a criminal. You're an illegal criminal entering the United States. And then we're just putting them back into our population to, again, like Chad said, spread this virus across the state of Texas. And I absolutely agree. I feel like there's going to be a point where that is used against the governor of Texas, and the double standard will continue, because we'll sit here in our, in our little soapbox, because they have the big soapbox, and say, well, a lot of that was, federal policies allowing these, COVID positive illegal immigrants to enter our population. And here you're saying that it's our fault. So it's, God, double standard.
You can't open schools. We have this thing we're treating like it's the Black Death, which I've seen numbers that say it's like 0.6% fatality rate for people to get it. Doesn't mean there's not consequences and all the rest of that stuff, that, maybe there's some side effects or long-term consequences. It's too young for us to understand, although I don't think they're really as bad as some people are making out. Although people have died from it, absolutely not saying that doesn't happen. But we're not allowed to open our schools. You're restricting interstate travel for citizens, legal citizens of the United States, and they're going to use this. They're playing games with people's lives, not just their health, their economic life, their family life. They're drawing division at households so that they could win their game. And this is the politicians that I stand against. Though, these people are corrupt, and it's in your face, but because most people are getting it smoothed over by their daily dose of the news, they're like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's why it's happening. Well, these people are doing this to your life. Now, wake up. That's the point of this show. A lot of the people that are watching this are already in that position where they have already been awakened, however we want to put it. They're already there. But the point is that more people need to wake up. Am I saying that I'm 100% right? Absolutely not. I'm also putting it out there. Let's talk. Let's figure it out. We've got to do some research into the idea that I have. If we both agree on this, by the way, because when we have ideas for the show, we do talk about it before we just run with it. So we got to make sure that we all both agree on it. Then we have to do the research behind it before we commit to doing it and then putting it out there for you guys. It's a standard that both of us uphold, moving from after our first couple of episodes started actually looking at it this way. Point of all of this rant is, for me, is there's more to it. It's time to wake up. It's time to look at the details. We're not ridiculing the kids in cages things and then immediately condescending or contradicting ourselves by saying, well, they're releasing these people in, they should hold them in detention, all this shit. I'm saying that there's a lunacy to it. They act like this thing is the Black Death. Then they say, you know what? We're going to only hold you for 72 hours even though you tested positive for COVID, and go off into the state of Texas. Then they're going to say, well, you know what? All these people that are coming here for sanctuary. No, that's a voting block they're letting in. That's it. Tying it back to the voting block statement, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, all that. This is also part of that. They want a voting block to guarantee in the future, if a Republican gets in, that person's a hornless rhino. But otherwise, it's going to be Democrats getting in. Voting block control. They want to control everything. We are founded on balance. Balance takes different viewpoints, not a majority that's constantly squashing a minority. The left likes to talk about majorities ruling. We need minorities to rise up to the point of equality, and equity is the big one. But why aren't we looking at the political position as also trying to keep itself fair and balanced? Like the Democrats are like, well, it's only fair and balanced because we're going to put all of our identity politic candidates in place. See, we're fair and balanced. We just got to get rid of those racist Republicans not by direct statement, but by their actions is why I conclude that statement. Though they're not looking to have equality. They're looking to have dominance. And this is what happens whenever you have a dominance in a political party. They do this. How many like rules have not even gone to Congress? How many bills haven't gone there? They've just been bypassed. Because at this point, all three of those branches of government are controlled by one party. Why do they even need to send it there? It's just for show at that point. But point is, it's supposed to go there. They're like, don't worry about it. We'll just go ahead and go right to it. Now, time to really, everyone needs to start waking up before we lose what we have and we become, a Venezuela instead of America. Venezuela was awesome before socialism took over, and now it is absolutely a wasteland.
I love how you said that too. So a couple things. And if you think that, okay, well, I'm in Florida, so I'm not really in Texas, so this doesn't affect me with this mass immigration or illegal immigration. It does, because we pay for those people. The government puts them on, it puts them on, subsidized housing. It puts them on, food stamps. It puts them on, they receive unemployment. They receive money, and we pay for that. That comes out of taxpayer money. And at the same time, we have to make sure that there's no one. Go look at Venezuela. There's the reason why America is so great, and I love how this socialism, defending has really popped up, especially online. I see so many memes now. They're like, "Oh, without socialism," like, yeah, we're a mixed economy. We have socialistic policies in place, and they're there for a reason. Look at China. China is, they like to say they're communist, but guess what? Economically, they've gotten a lot of their influx of their economic success from capitalistic Hong Kong. So back to my original point, you don't see a lot of people waiting to get into Venezuela to immigrate to Venezuela. So if I name one socialistic country that's completely 100% socialism that people are lining up at the door to get in, they're not. They're lining up the door to get into America because we are not that. So for all my socialism lovers and how it's this utopia that you've read, the Karl Marx's book and all this crap, like go find me one case where a socialistic country people are lining up at the door to get in, and you ain't gonna find it. I'll save you some time research. It's not out there.
I love to say this about Karl Marx. He's history's greatest freeloader. That dude is such a piece of shit. He really was. And most people only read the manifesto. They don't understand the life of Karl Marx. He was such a freeloading piece of shit. He was absolutely the worst person to ever invite over. He was so fucking pretentious. And then he was such a freeloader. But he came up with this beautiful ideology and how people are going to live together in harmony, but yet he still wouldn't even get on his own feet, even though he had the greatest opportunities of his time, because he came from a position of middle-class value and wealth, and then he creates this fucking piece of shit that wouldn't even wipe your ass properly, but yet people are going to fall in love with it. I'm going to get some heat for that, by the way.
It doesn't work. That's what I don't get.
Such a piece of shit.
I've asked this, and they cannot answer it. You cannot answer this question. Name one time that communism, especially communism, because that's what Marx is all about. Name one time communism worked on its own. And if you say China, guess what? China's not all. It's a communist country, but not economically. Economically, they're very capitalistic. I watch them open up their stock market almost every day during the week, and they are not close to communists. There's people holding money there, so it's never worked. Never.
If you want to find out some real vicious stuff too, there's what is that show called? China Today, or we'll get it for you. This show will tell you so much about what's going on in China. It's awesome because it really does let you know. And when I say awesome, I mean there's so much going on there, but because our media doesn't tell us, like the Uyghurs in China, they're used for organ harvesting. It sounds crazy when you listen to it on this side because you don't hear about it, but it's being done. And we're going to sit back and just like, oh no. China's good. China is our ally. You got to understand, linguistically specific words have different meanings in different countries. When we say that, like struggle here is the idea of the struggle is like the struggle's real, right? And it's just trying to overcome something and then get to the promised land, right? Or whatever the goal is. But even that is a word in China means conquering over another. And when they say that, we as Americans look at it and we hear, okay, the struggle, and we linguistically go down another avenue of structures of thinking than theirs. When they say struggle, they mean the fight over who's going to have the dominance between the countries. and they do not want to be second.
Nope.
Oh, and the struggle unifies a lot of the people in China. Now, where here, the struggle separates us. Because what do people say? I'm struggling, I'm hustling, because usually it's struggle's real hustle concept, which means that individually you need to get ahead. Over there, it's a call to unify so that they can overcome something. Now, big differences, even though it doesn't sound like it, but it projects into a different avenue of thinking. So, all right, we've gone on. We're coming up on 3 hours, my man. This is the longest episode that we've had. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there so we don't get to the point of 3 hours on this one?
No, I think we've hit it all. I think we may have to continue China's discussion because again, it's endless. I mean, there's a lot we could talk about in China, so we may carry that over into next episode. Leave you guys on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I hope you enjoyed today. Again, if you have not subscribed, please do so. I know a lot of people who are listeners but haven't pressed that subscribe button. Maybe you don't understand the value in it. That's how we get views. That's how we get more monetization, I guess, so to speak. We get in the algorithm. Actually now, Chad, if you look at our page, I've noticed that we're getting some interesting video tags and what YouTube wants to relate us with. And it's actually kind of cool because a lot of mainstream like Fox and a lot of other news articles that we're kind of being paired with. So please, if you are not subscribed, please do so. Leave a comment. We like to hear topics that you guys want to talk about. So I would love to have a portion where you have subscriber thought and you guys post in the comments a topic you want us to discuss, and we will gladly do that. We want to start getting you guys involved a little bit more.
Absolutely. I could not actually say that any better. Great. It does help us. Liking the videos, subscribing, sharing the videos helps the algorithm as well. Because it shows liking the video is one thing, sharing it is another. When you share it, it changes the algorithm value. It's actually a higher value than liking it. Subscribing to it, hitting the bell notification, you'll know when we're going live. If you're in a position, obviously anything will help us build this show out. For those types of actions, you could always go to our Teespring store as well to look at some of the merchandise that we've created for Waking the People. If you want to start brandishing it as well and helping us push the brand a bit. When you do go there, read the descriptions. We've had some fun writing those out to make sure that there is something a little bit more, trying to create a purpose behind the product, not just the product. But the products themselves are pretty damn great. We are looking for more options as far as what else we could actually build in our merch store. But with that, do check us out on Rumble as well. If you do check it out, hit that little Rumble icon, the little boxing icon. That helps us out there as well. Rumble actually will help the show faster. We are continuously building to the point that we will have the in-studio experience with Joshua and I at the same time. That will happen in the near future, not exactly when, but your contributions will help that. And you can contribute to the show simply by the previous actions, as well as go over to the Teespring store, get some merchandise, start walking around, make a statement, read the descriptions, bring those description comments back to the videos that linked you over to the Teespring store in the first place. I love seeing that stuff. I put some effort into making sure that they were at least somewhat funny and meaningful. So I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on those things. Also, in the next episode, we should also be, I'll be showing some samples of some of those products as well. Grateful that we had our special guest Shannon on talking about the student loan industry. Very eye-opening for us. And then Joshua, you did an awesome job researching this week, bringing some of the topics to light. And I appreciate everybody dealing with my commentary. So, Joshua, you got anything in closing, my man?
No, thank you guys for watching again. I hope you have a beautiful Saturday. Just remember, we're all in this together. We started this at a discussion platform. And just remember, it's your world, baby. They're just living in it. So you guys go out there, go take today by storm, be who you are, never let anyone put you down, and we'll get through this together. So until next time, thank you for watching another episode of Waking the People, and I hope you enjoyed it.
And you are Joshua the Kraken McClendon.
The Kraken is now the name. I think I have to. I might start making T-shirts of that. The Kraken,
Yeah, I know. Sydney Powell, she'll move over. She'll let you have that one. And again, I'm Sir Chad Everbroshears, and this is Waking the People. This is the little outro, and then we'll have another little piece on it whenever the video is edited. So,
yes, it tastes like the American flag. That's what it tastes like. That's freaking good.
All right, guys, gals, patriots of all types, We're in this together. We'll catch you on the next episode.